guys. Okay, so we're gonna get started in about 12 minutes. I just want to jump on a little bit early. If you don't have your videos on, put your videos on. How are you guys doing with the pocket coaching that has been being sent out? Are you guys finding the pocket coaching useful? Is it helping you kind of ground the way that you're thinking so that you can shift the way that you take action? Yes? Okay, so remember this. So who started this challenge with us at the very beginning of the month? Who did that? Put me in the chat. If you started this challenge with us at the beginning of the month, put me in the chat. You gentlemen and ladies, congratulations that you actually have been running through this challenge. That's like epic right there, okay? To stay committed all the way to the end is incredible. Let's do a check-in. How many of you guys have kept your word to yourself this month? How many guys have kept your word to yourself this month? Put me in the chat. Meaning that whatever you said you were going to go after, you're still going after it. You're still going after it. Put me in the chat. Okay, so I did, me. Our COO of the company, Chris, put a challenge up for himself that he would have a manuscript done for his book. Super cool, right? So the power of high performers, they put something up and they go after it. Doesn't mean that you don't fall off. It doesn't mean that you don't fall. So my son and I fell off our workouts. And the truth is that we weren't overly committed to it. And so why would Shanda say this? Like, that's not really motivating. Because as I looked at my son the other day and I said, okay, we've missed a couple days throughout this month. I go, do you want to start all over at the beginning? Because that's what I do. I just start all over and I do it again. And you know what my son said to me? He said, Mommy, let's just start where we left off. And let's just finish it.
That's right.
And I thought that was super, super powerful, right? So you have to look at what's your strategy. It doesn't matter if you start all over or you start where you're from. What's your strategy to finish strong? We got this last week. As we roll into the end of this last week, we put ourselves in a position that we are halfway through the year, 50%. So I don't want to take the pressure off. I actually want to put the pressure on. Pressure is a privilege. Pressure makes you stronger. I was speaking with Chris this morning and I said, he has a food stamp moment in his life. I have a so broke it hurt, right? Like anybody else so broke it hurt? Chris said that too. So broke it hurt. Anybody else? Yes or no? Have you ever been so broke it hurts? Yes or no? Go in the chat and let us know. Yes. Okay, so broke it hurts sucks. And I would never want to take that away from my son. I actually hope that I'm on the planet to watch him go through whatever his challenge is. And I don't mean a little challenge. I want my son to go through the food stamp moment. I want my son to go through the so broke it hurts moment. I never want to take that away from him. Do you understand why, my friends? Do you understand why? Do you understand why? Yes or no? Do you understand why? I bet you do intellectually, but there's probably somebody in your life right now, you're taking the pressure off them to make it easier because you love them. There might be somebody that you want to take the pressure off you because if they take the pressure off you, you think somehow you're going to do better. And that's not how it works. It's not how it works. It's how do you show up in hard times? I'm going to tell you, you're not going to show up perfect. I mean, when I was a teenager, whenever I was going through pressure moments, like there was a test at school, which I always sucked at. And when those moments happened, I pushed my mom away, I pushed my dad away, I pushed my friends away. I was just a stress bucket. And that continued into college, and I never finished college. I bailed out of college because I started making too much money. I bailed out of college, and it took me years to pay off my college. And I share all of this with you because of the fact that in the journey, it's going to be messy, and you know it's going to be messy. I have been judged for being too intense. I've been judged for being obsessed. I've been judged for having money. I've been judged for not having money. I've been judged because you're not nice enough. I've been judged that I can't believe, like Mariana on our team always says to me, I can't believe how much patience you have, right? I have a crazy bandwidth for patience, but when my patience is gone, I'm aggressive when my patience is gone, right? And so there's things in your personality, there's things in my personality, there's character. Like I feel like God's working on my character a lot right now. Anybody else feel that right now? I feel like a lot of people I'm talking to right now, they're having a character moment. If you're having a character moment, it means you're going to the next level. It means you're going to the next level. If you are not having a character moment, you're not looking at yourself and going, ooh, it's time for that to go. If you're not having that, then you're probably either exactly where you should be, which is great. It means whatever you're handling right now, you're good. Right? Like you're exactly where you should be. or you might be playing a little safe. And only you can answer that question. You might be playing a little safe. So I think it's to me, it's more dangerous being comfortable because you're not ready for what's coming. Do you guys hear? Have you ever heard success loves preparation? So when I'm running half marathons, triathlons, when I'm in that race, which I'm not in right now, and I haven't been in for a few years because of trying to have this next baby and miscarrying and all the things that have gone with that. And I like really laid off that. The funny thing is every time I go intensely into working out, I think because it manages my blood sugar, I get pregnant like that. Right. And so whatever's happening is happening. I'm on my journey. I'm figuring it out, doing it messy. Right. And I know you are too, but I just want to encourage you before Michael gets started today, because he's going to talk to you about how do you expand your bandwidth? How do you up urgency? Because urgency, everybody, I told you yesterday, I've been really pushing on urgency this week because we're 50% through the year. People are going to judge you and you're going to totally screw up. They are. And you know what? The ones that are your people are going to stand right next to you. Because guess what? They ain't perfect either behind closed doors. You get that? Behind closed doors, they ain't perfect either. But if you got something stirring in your character right now, and you're being called to up-level your character, it's because the leader that you are right now needs to expand to carry whatever's coming in. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? So the reason why I used to pretend to be Kim Kiyosaki in real estate is because I had a vision of who Kim Kiyosaki was. And the reason why she created that result was the character that she is. And she created that result, the type of wife she is, the type of businesswoman she is, the type of studier, how she studies she is. And I just role modeled that when I'd walk into a room. Sure enough, did over $100 million in real estate. Okay, so now where do you get lost when you stop role modeling? And what you're role modeling is a character. Don't role model money. Don't role model relationships, like meaning that like look at other people, go, oh, they're that. Don't do that. Literally look at the character. Who was on the training that I talked about that? Pick 3 people in your life that you look at and you go, I want that type of life. And then write, what is it about them? What is it about them that you look at and you go, wow, like this is what I admire about them. Well, that admiration is your character saying it's time for my character to level up. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? And when your character levels up, then essentially, this is why I've been talking about leadership all month. Essentially, you become the leader to be able to drive whatever you're driving. Everybody wants to know the how. In our leadership training, we call it the mechanism. Everybody wants to know the how. How do I do that? How do I mechanically make that happen? And the truth is all that's YouTubeable. It's all YouTubeable. Every how, when my mom says, how do I get on Zoom? Somebody did a video, go to YouTube, look. How do I create a marketing funnel? Guess what? Somebody did a video, go do it. How do I create a better offer? How do I create bonuses? How do I communicate with my husband and wife? How do I negotiate? I've done so many videos, you guys, on how do you get your partner to get on the same page as you. There's so many videos on this. I've actually had people message me, many people message me and say, I was able to get my partner on the same page and we created this result together just because I watched your video. What happened? They consumed the video and they had the leadership to take action. What happens to the person who watches a live like this and doesn't take action is because of a character thing. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Temper tantrums behind closed doors doesn't work. The best person who knows who I am is our house manager and my husband and my son. Why? They're around me all the time. If I put them in front of you right now, this isn't about me, but I want you to understand this for character-wise. I get frustrated for about 5 minutes and I shift and I go. Doesn't matter how big the thing is. I shift and I go, right? That never used to be like that. I used to get frustrated for 2 months. For 3 months on the same thing and then make you really wrong, right? And it's like, now it's like 5 minutes, maybe 5 minutes is a long time. It's probably a short fuse where it's like 2 minutes and then I shift. And in our leadership program, we call it like express it, like put it out there, express it, and then shift. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? So you got to get the emotion out so that you can find your leadership and your stealthness to go. I'm going to tell you more people, and you might be this person. Do not bottle up your emotions. Your emotions are why you move, and they're also why you don't move. Do not bottle up your emotions. And how you walk through your emotions, I feel like somebody really needs to hear this today. How you walk through your emotions doesn't make you good, bad, or ugly. Trust me, people have judged me my entire life for this, right? But they don't watch where my money goes. My money goes hundreds of thousands of dollars to, human trafficking, to stop human trafficking. I don't just do that because I like to. I do that because I feel responsible. My money goes to my church. My dad just, looked at a new house and wants to move to a new house because he cannot get down the stairs, and he will die if we don't get him on the ground floor of a house with he's on an oxygen machine with a big shower. My dad went, I just found out, 3 months without a shower. I was like, what? But he won't have a nurse over. These are real things. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, be okay with people judging you, but don't stop. Don't have lots of empathy for everybody else's messes. Do not be the person that points your fingers and says that person sucks because they operated like that. If you are playing at a big level, you will suck. You will suck wind. You will be messy. You will be all of the things. And can you still play at that bigger level? Notice what character comes up and start to allow God to work in your heart, or whatever your thing is, right? It's like, let your character rise. And you cannot rise your character unless you can play a big enough game, because that pressure is going to push something out of you. If you're biblical, it's like deliverance, right? If you're not biblical, I don't know. It's like purging, catharsis, whatever it is you want to call it. It's got to come out. It can't stay in there for you to go the next level. And I promise you, people will judge you. Can you guys write everything down? Write this down. Get rid of your looking good conversation. Because when I tried to fit into everybody liking me, I pissed off no one. And guess what? If you're not pissing off anybody, then I'm telling you, I promise you, you're living an average life. And that to me is scarier than anything. That is the B word, boring. And you are not on this challenge because you live boring. You're on this challenge because you're willing to offend people. I did a whole mastermind on this, right? We did an entire mastermind on offending people. And the reason why is because people walk around and act like you shouldn't offend anybody. And that is just not the case. If you're playing big, you're screwing up. You guys hear what I'm saying? You're playing big, you're screwing up. And the only people who are going to judge you are the ones that are not playing big enough. Why? Because, and this, you might be, can you turn that off? You might be this person. So just know it's okay, because you can shift this. I've been this person where I was more concerned about how everybody else should operate because I wasn't doing anything myself. And that doesn't mean working hard, because I was working 12 hours a day when I was very consumed with somebody in my mind right now and how they were not showing up with a good character. Do you know what that is? That's called me not playing big enough. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Yes or no? Go in the chat. Tell me yes or no, go in the chat. So if you are judging somebody else versus helping them, get on their team. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Get on their team. People around you want to better themselves and become a better character. Learn how to go in and help them become a better character. Don't judge them. If you do, I guarantee you, you will be afraid to offend people, which means that just by default, you will play a smaller game. And your life is not worth a smaller game. So permission to be messy, yes or no? Permission to be messy, yes or no? Are you going to be okay when people completely judge you around this, yes or no? I'll tell you, that's the hardest part. That is the hardest part, because you will want to be liked with everything in you. You will want to be liked with everything in you. And guess what? The boardroom's at the top, whatever that boardroom looks like. Your family, your extended family, they're the boardroom. Anybody feel me on this? Like your mom, your spouse's mom and dad, your uncles and aunts, maybe your spouse, in business, it's your team, it's your virtual assistants, it's, maybe your president, maybe it's your marketing team, maybe it's your sales team. I tell you, all the way up, I got a core group that never left. A core group that never left. When the core group never leaves you, guess what, you guys? The family, the friends, the people that have helped build these companies for some of you guys, that core group knows who you are. That core group knows who you are. And I'm going to end this before I bring on Michael. Make sure that you take care of the core group in your life. take care of everyone, but like today, just take a moment and call some of those people and say, thank you for being by my side and not judging me. And if you did, you didn't tell me about it, you just helped me build my life. Guys, get it? Yes? I see some of you guys like really, you're feeling it, right? And some of you guys need to go have that conversation with someone that maybe you've been a part of pulling them down. I did that for some time to my husband, right? And didn't realize, oh, there was a character thing that needed to shift in me to be able to get on his team and not criticize whatever he was doing. Like, you should do it better, you should do it right, if you do it like this. And so you can be the crab in somebody else's life, but I guarantee you there's crabs in your life. And I don't think most of them are not meaning to be crabs. It's just they're not getting the power of team, the power of loyalty, and the power of commitment. And instead of that, they're judging. And I'm going to tell you, you're never going to get rid of that. And if you're playing a big enough game, they will always judge. That's why the people at the ultimate height of life, they got more money than God. Well, nobody has more money than God, but you get what I'm saying. Got more money. They got more love. They've got friends for a lifetime. They contribute at a bigger level than anybody will ever know because they don't talk about it. Guess who they hang out with? Those people. Why? Because those people get it. Because along the way, everybody tried to pull them down. You're not kind enough. You're not nice enough. You're playing too big. It's not all about money. And because they're not playing big enough. And so none of that character shit came out of them. So it's time for you to play a big game. We're halfway through the year. I'm going to bring my close friend, Michael Strasner, up, also my mentor. I will tell you, I said this the first week that we did this challenge. Who saw him on the first week? Put me in the chat. He's going to help you get over and finish this month strong. And it's, you guys, this is not just this month. This is 50% of the year. 50% of the year right now. How you do today and how you do the rest of this week determines who you are. I want you to be busier than you've ever been, and I want you to love like you've never loved before. I want you to be the best parent, even though you're busy. I want all of that. Expand your bandwidth so that you can be the person that doesn't drop balls and stops making up excuses for dropping balls. You guys ready for that? Bring Michael Strasner up, please. Michael Strasner's in the house.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes. Michael, I'm going to hand it over to you. Thank you for being here. I freaking love the crap out of you. You're just so amazing. I love it. So I'm going to be taking notes, Michael, because I like putting you here. The reason why I'm going to take notes is I'm up to a big game, as you know. I'm always up to a big game, but I'm up to an especially big game. We're moving 2 companies to Puerto Rico this weekend. We've got big accounting firms that I've had to use. The leadership is enrollment, guys. I had to enroll the accounting firms to take 2 companies under one. You know, it's like not being afraid to go after it, even though the world and the logistics and everybody tells you that's not possible. This is the man that coached me into, not only is that possible, you would regret it if you didn't try. So thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Shanda. Good morning, everybody. Hello from wherever you are throughout the world. So I want to start today by asking if you've ever seen the movie Dirty Dancing. Has anybody ever seen the movie Dirty Dancing? I mean, it's a popular movie from the past. Okay, so there's this great line in the movie. I mean, there's many great lines, but one of my favorite lines is, "Don't put baby in the corner." So I want to start by saying, don't put baby in the corner. What does that mean? You and I have exceptional gifts, exceptional talents. When we were born and we came into the world, we were untethered, unbridled. We had no restrictions, no limitations. We had no limiting beliefs. As a matter of fact, if you ever talk to a small child and you say to them, "Hey, what do you want to be when you grow up?" One day it's, "I want to be a doctor." The next day, "I want to be a scientist." The next day, "I want to be a teacher." Then, "I want to be a veterinarian." Then, "I want to play baseball." And this is all to a 5-year-old little girl. So there are no limitations that are inherent in us. We come into the world, what I like to call a blank canvas. And then as we go through our lives, we have experiences and we begin to interpret information because we're inundated with information, constantly Mom is saying, this is this and that is that, and this is how you get to be, and this is how, you get to behave, and this is good, and this is bad, and this is right, and this is wrong. And it's not just mom, it's dad, it's your siblings, it's your grandparents, it's eventually teachers and society, and on and on and on. And what happens is, and you can see it with your own kids, what happens is that the older we get, as we quote unquote grow up, as we quote unquote mature, those are code words for start to die. Those are code words for survive. Those are code words for being in a box, being in a comfort zone, survival, getting through our lives. One of the things that I always found ironic is the people that would always say to me as a child, hey, I really want you to be happy when you grow up. I really want you to be fulfilled when you grow up. I really want you to have everything you want in your life when you grow up. We're miserable. Think about how funny that is. Miserable. I want everything for you, as the person that's telling me this is crying. I remember my mother always telling me how she wants my dreams to come true while she's sobbing in her coffee, crying because my father wouldn't talk to her, crying because they had no intimacy, crying because they were not in alignment, not in vision, not connected together, not in partnership. I used to joke that my family was like the Stepford wife family. We would all be sitting around at Thanksgiving. Dad would be on one side, mom would be on the other, all of my brothers and sisters. We're all sitting here and everybody's like in their own cube. Like we're in this own little sphere, and we're hoping we can get through this dinner in order to go on in our life and hang out with our friends or get away from this miserable place. The entire conversation at Thanksgiving dinner was about the moisture of the turkey, the moisture of the turkey. And it was a debate. Is the turkey as moist this year as it was last year or not? I could not stand this experience. I was saying to myself something like this, if this is it, this isn't it. There's got to be something better than this. There's got to be something more empowering than this. So I say this to you to say, you are survivors. You are survivors. You are hardworking, dedicated, committed people who have clearly survived your life in spite of all of those naysayers, all of those limiting conversations that came at you to tell you who you're not and what you can't do and why you can't do it and why you're not good enough and why you're a woman and you're supposed to be this and you're supposed to be that and why you're a man and you're supposed to be this and you're supposed to be that. These are all layers and layers and layers of mediocrity that come at us. I heard Shanna talking about crabs. It's unbelievable how we live in a society that almost becomes a conspiracy to suck the life out of us, to suck the possibility out of us, the dreams out of us, so that we can exist, we can survive, we can coexist ultimately in our lives. And then we wonder why our marriages don't work. We wonder why our families are disconnected, why our sons and daughters would rather be playing video games than having any kind of intimate communication with any of us. It's not working if what you want is something wonderful, if what you want is something magical. So here today, I want to talk to you about having a relationship with your results. Look at your results. All you have to do is look at the scoreboard. When you look at the scoreboard, you're going to say one of two things. Yes, I am on track. How I'm being is working. What I'm doing is working. I get to keep doing it. It's working. Or your scoreboard is going to say, no, hello, wake up, smell the coffee. Your relationship is not working. If your husband is at the door, if your wife is at the door with their bags packed and they're saying, I cannot take it anymore. I am out of here. Enough is enough. You cannot continue to be in denial. You cannot continue to pretend. You cannot continue to think that everything is okay. It's not okay. Be in relationship with your results. This is what it takes to be extraordinary. Look at the scoreboard. Tell yourself the truth. If it's not working, own it. It's not feel bad about it. It's not feel guilty about it. It's not feel ashamed of it. And it's also not put a Band-Aid on it and pretend it's okay. Own it. The most incredibly successful people in life own their results. Owning it means I have met the enemy and it is I. The only person that's going to turn this around is me. You can, yes, definitely go hit the ejector button and get rid of him. You can hit the ejector button and get rid of her. But here's the problem. You're going to be the same person in the next relationship. You're going to be the same person in the next business. You're going to be the same person in the next diet. How many times have you been on a diet and you said at some point, the diet isn't working? The diet isn't working. It's not the diet. It's not him. It's not her. It's not the economy. It's not it. It's you and your relationship to it. You and your relationship to it. Now, is that a big pill to swallow? Of course, especially if you don't like the results. If you don't like the results, it's going to be painful sometimes. But the only way to break through mediocrity to excellence, the only way to break through from survival to abundance, the only way to break through from doing the same thing over and over and over again and living in a fantasy world that things are going to change, and your genuine commitment to transforming your life is you and your ownership of the breakdown. When somebody owns the breakdown, you know what you have the power to do? Get coaching, get feedback, get input from people that are winning. So I play golf. It's one of my passions, and I'm a very good amateur golfer, but I'm not a professional. Who do I take coaching from? Are you ready? Everybody. I'm a sponge. Every single person I play with, no matter how bad or good they are, can all teach me something. It's amazing when we're open and we are genuinely committed to growth, genuinely committed to expanding our box, expanding ourselves, how we can learn from everybody. Even people that are doing things that don't work is a reminder to you, oh, you know what? I really need to remember this because I've done this in the past, and it's absolutely possible that I could do this again in the future. But learning from people who are winning at something, who are good at something, or great at something, are excellent at something. Don't sit there and be in judgment and evaluation. Be a sponge. When I watch a relationship that's working, I watch how they're being together. How are they communicating with each other? What's the tone of their voice? What's their behavior? When I see a business that's working, I don't sit there and judge and compare and get into all these conversations about, who's better, who's worse. It's a waste of time. I'm a sponge. I look at Apple and I say to myself, wow, can you imagine if every single person who owned a business had the same philosophy that Apple does, which is to have an iPhone 3 generations from now? Do you realize we're selling right now? I think it's Apple 11. Who knows what the number is? But let's just say it's Apple 11. Do you know that Apple 14 is already done? Apple 15 has the prototype. This is the philosophy of Apple, which is why Apple, if it was a country, would be in the top 10 wealthiest countries in the world. Do you know that? It is a company. But the value, the revenue, the cash, the profit is extraordinary. It's because they don't just deliver excellent products, they are in a philosophy of constant growth. Commitment is always focused on the next generation, the next level. How can we be better? How can we do better? How can we improve on this? So I love the example of being messy. Let's talk about being messy. Being messy really is about what? It's about being vulnerable. When you say messy, I hear vulnerable. What do you think a relationship is? When you stand up in front of 200 people and you say, for better or worse, richer or poorer, till death do us part, you are vulnerable. You are vulnerable to your commitment. You are vulnerable because you are declaring your love and your intention to be faithful and connected and in partnership with this human being for the rest of your life. And you're saying it in front of the world. That's vulnerable. When you say, I am announcing my new company, ABC Corporation, and here's what we do, you are vulnerable. In vulnerability, you're messy. Why? Well, you could fail. You could fall on your face. You could make a mistake. You could launch your website. You're so excited. You spend so much time and energy and money on your website. You launch it and something doesn't work. I'm sure that's never happened to anybody. You spend so much time, so much energy. You launch your business and you've got all these materials. You spend all this money on the marketing to build this business and there's typos. I'm sure that's never happened. So we are vulnerable. The bigger the game we play, we are vulnerable, vulnerable to winning, vulnerable to losing. In that messiness, we have a choice, and that choice is to expand or contract. And I want to invite each and every one of you to understand the nature of human beings is we are a rubber band. Every moment in our life, we are expanding or contracting. You can't be in the challenge only intellectually and conceptually and expect your life to change. You must be here in the challenge, participating with a commitment to integrate what you're learning. If you're not in a commitment to integrate what you're learning, this is a concept, a nice idea that will basically be like a good book you read. Do you know that there are there are studies that have been done about reading and the didactic learning process of reading something and the conceptual intellectualism? Here's what happens. Within about 2 weeks, most people can only retain about 7% of what they read. When you read it in the moment, it's alive, it's powerful, might even be brilliant. But if you don't talk about it and you don't integrate it and you're not implementing what you learn, then what happens is about 2 weeks later or a month later, here's what you're saying. Oh yeah, that was a great book. You're now talking about it like it was a vacation or like it was some kind of activity that you enjoyed. That doesn't mean you're implementing the steps. I read the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, like 30 plus years ago. I still use those habits in my life every day, every single week. I'm applying it. Your vision, your dreams, what you want, the breakthrough in your business, the breakthrough in your family, the extraordinary life experience and results you want are at your fingertips, but it requires your active participation. It requires your commitment. It requires you to invest in yourselves. It requires you to commit yourself to your redesign. Just like in the movie Dirty Dancing, don't put baby in a corner. If you remember the movie, she could barely talk and walk. And she learned how to be an extraordinary dancer. And I want to say one last thing about Messi. Messi is the greatest soccer player in the history of the world. Some of you have no idea who I'm talking about right now. But every time a student tells me, I get to be Messi, I'm committed to being Messi, I get to let go of control and get out of my looking good conversation, and I'm going to be Messi, I say, yes, you are the greatest soccer player in the history of soccer. Look him up. Messi plays soccer. He's about 35 years old. He does things with a soccer ball no one has ever done in history. Why? Because he's committed to expanding his box, blowing up his beliefs about what is and isn't possible, and committing himself, dedicating himself to redesigning and reinventing so that he can create magic. Every one of you is capable of the same thing. Lionel Messi is like 5'6". He weighs about 104 pounds, maybe, if he was wet. Do you know that's not the prototypical build for a soccer player? He's too short. He's too short. Society and the world of soccer has told him since the beginning, you're too small to be good enough to play professionally. He's not just good enough, he's the greatest soccer player in history. So you have the potential, you have the capability, get out of your own way and let it happen. Integrate what you're learning, put it into committed action, let go of control. As Shanda said, who cares about what people think of you? The world's going to judge you anyway. You can't help yourself but judge other people. You can't help yourself but have an opinion about other people. So what you get to do is influence the opinion. You can change the hearts and minds of your family. You can change the hearts and minds of your friends, and you can change the way the world sees you. You are Messi, so own it. Shannon, I think I'm done. Time?
So good. Bring me up with Michael for 2 seconds before we close out today's training. So first and foremost, Michael, when you see, I know that you can spot somebody who's a high performer because their attitude, how they walk, how they operate, whatever. But I wouldn't say that it's all like, because when I walked into your space, I kind of walked into your space like this, like afraid. I mean, I probably did have my hands like this and my legs crossed at the same time and was really afraid. How do you spot somebody who's ready to go? And my purpose in asking him this question, you guys, is notice what his answer is and ask yourself, are you ready to go? Do you know what I mean? So how do you spot somebody when you're training in a room and just be able to go, okay, that person's ready to pop, they're ready to go?
Well, first of all, you're talking about body language. So body language is a great way to tell. So how are they sitting? How are they carrying themselves? What are they communicating? Are they participating? So if I'm asking for sharing, are they jumping up? Are they willing to be, as I said, vulnerable, to risk, to share, to communicate? Are they willing to face their fears? If I say, okay, we're going to do an exercise, do they jump in immediately to find a partner versus be like the person at the dance hovering over the fruit punch or holding up the wall, because they've already decided nobody really wants to work with me, nobody really wants to participate with me, or I'm going to wait for somebody to rescue me. So really it has a lot to do initially with energy, attitude, body language, and participation. But then as we go, communication. Are they there only for themselves? Are they there focused on themselves alone? Or are they also mindful that there are 50 people or 100 people or 500 people in the room? And do they intend to make a difference? Do they intend to contribute? So when I start to see people that are not just sharing or participating, but also aware of their surroundings and conscious that the world does not revolve around them, that starts to tell me this person is not just a winner, but this person is a star maker in their life.
Okay, so let me show you guys what that looks like. So say you are working in a corporation or you've got a company that you employ people. That looks like people waiting for direction versus people coming to the table with, here's the plan. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like, are you sitting back waiting for somebody to tell you what to do in your marriage, in your company, in your career? Or are you saying, I'm going after it, right? So my company, one of the things that not now, but like as I've grown the company, when it was smaller, everybody won because they were right close to me. And then as we grew, people were like, well, I don't have a relationship with Shanda anymore. And so I just don't feel the fire anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm losing momentum. That's that next level of leadership where you've got to look at like, how are you creating it? When I worked in real estate, I was a real estate agent first. And when I worked in real estate, and honestly, if it wasn't for Michael training me in my leadership and going deep and never, ever relentlessly, never, ever letting me play small, which is not easy, right? It's like I told somebody the other day that their marketing was like a 3 out of a 10, and they were so offended they quit the program. And I was like, but it's true. It's a 3. You got an event coming up. We can make it a 10 in a week. Do you know what I mean? But it's like that offense, that ego, you've got to let go of that and let people in so that they can help you. The safest place to be is to have people around you. And you might be this, you guys, the safest place to be, even if somebody can't land their communication articulately, or like that's another level of leadership to learn how to land the ship. But it's like honesty is more important than anything, because then you actually really know what's going on. You know, you're not kidding anybody and you could do something. Go ahead.
All right, I got to jump in on this. So just yesterday, I was at a training and I shared this. So my friend, who is his name is Jim. Jim's been my longest best friend my whole life. I give feedback to Jim and Jim gives feedback to me. So Jim and I are friends and we do lots of things together over the years. And one of the things we do is play golf. And Jim, who I love, is an awful golfer. Awful. Everybody listen. Awful, horrible, one of the worst ever. And I love him anyway. So I sent Jim a video that I found to support him in fixing one of his issues. I didn't have to send it to him. I could have sat over here and said, Jim stinks. Jim is awful. He's uncoachable. I've tried to coach him for 40 years. Forget it. But no, I sent him a video with a loving note. Hey, Jim, I was thinking about you. This is for you. Check it out. I think it'll support you. Jim writes me back. Here's what he says. He says, thank you for sending it to me. I've already seen videos like this, and it always works in practice, but it never works when we get on the golf course. So I write Jim back. Are you ready? Jim, I love you. And Jim, I want to give you some feedback. My experience of you is stubborn. My experience of you is a pain in the ass. My experience of you is cynical. Jim writes me back and he says, thank you. I love you too. And thankfully, I have you in my life. So I'm being honest. I'm being an interruption, giving him feedback that maybe he doesn't want to hear. And then instead of backing down, I'm not going to back down. Why? I want Jim to do something wonderful that he wants to do. He doesn't want to hit the ball in every single condo in the entire state of Florida. Are you kidding? Do you know how many condos are in Florida? Jim's already hit 79% of them. That equals, I think, 22 million. Do you know that's a record? It's in the record books. I want Jim to be able to play a game of golf with less than 25 balls. Is that okay? I have dreams. I'm holding him high. I love him. So we get to be honest with our friends, honest with our family. There is no such thing as brutal honesty. It's just honesty. And if the person doesn't want to hear it, it doesn't mean it's not true. Don't back down. Champion them. Sorry, I had to jump in on that.
Yeah, no, it's so good. And I know we can't do a big style flexing scenario, but Michael is the best at style flexing. And there's a lot of people who are battling conversations with people that they love. Who has somebody in your life right now that you can't land your communication with? Yes or no? Go in the chat, yes or no. Who do you think they are? Do you think they're a controlling personality? Do you think that they are really stubborn? Do you think that they are super analytical, can't make a decision? You know, are they someone who's just, they're always like the house, they're like, well, let's go, but then they don't ever show up to dinner because the dog ate their homework, right? And something got in the way and they just could never finish what they started. Who are they, right? Are they, you know, are they promoterish? What are they? And so, you know, Michael, I know that I talked about style flexing a few weeks ago, and I know we can't go through all the quadrants, but just give us a piece of your wisdom. I've watched Michael in the live room. He trained you guys who jumped into hardcore leadership. Guess who's going to be your trainer right here? He's going to be your trainer. He's the best in the world. He's super good. And somebody gave me shit when I said I love Tony Robbins, but Tony doesn't get to go as deep as Michael. And when you take the skill set like this that Tony and Michael both have, and you're able to go deep into intimacy, things move really fast, right? When you have 60 people, 100 people versus 4,000 people, 10,000 people, it's humanly impossible to not get lost in that. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Yes. And I love Tony. He created the most incredible coaching, facility and paved the way. And that's what is amazing about him. Right. And when you have an opportunity to go deep, like Michael's going to take you guys deep into leadership. Right. And by the way, that offer is closed, but you can always go to the page and invest $5,000 and go into the program. Right. I'd pay $50,000 to get what I've gotten in my life to be able to do what I do today and to be able to do it messy and be judged and still do it and then get up and go, oh, I fucked that up. Let's do it again. You know what I mean? Like, and just go after it. Right. But I know you guys are fighting with a lot of different things out there. You're fighting with people. And I just want to give a light at the end of the tunnel, because somebody's not going to get a divorce because they get vision in this moment. Somebody's not going to, maybe you are going to lose your house. I lost my house. It was one of the best things that ever happened to me, right? I just took down my overhead and I started again and rebuilt. I had shitty credit for 7 years. And you know what? I learned, because now that I forced me to burn my back bridges, right? Like I had to burn the bridges. There was nothing going back. My credit was gone. I had to figure out how to create cash for a car, cash to buy a house. Now, my dad, it's a bidding market to get a rental. I'm like, I'll pay 2 months, 3 months up front. We're going to Puerto Rico. We rented a place. I was like, we'll just pay for the whole half year up front, negotiated to take $1,000 off a month off the rental. Like, you want to get to the point where you make the decisions, you create the negotiations, not allow other people in your life or the world to tell you what's real. There is a way through. So if you're in a situation, which I know you are, if you've got anybody in your life, situation where you can't seem to land your communication, Michael, what advice would you just give people around having that light at the end of the tunnel?
Couple things. One is that everybody is an opportunity for us and a lesson for us. And so if we stop looking at them through judgment and holding them with characterizations we've made up about them in the past, if we can let that go and see them through a fresh set of eyes, that sounds like this. The person is doing the best they can given what they know. You're going to have a different attitude and a different mindset if you're in communication with them. Just because somebody's being stubborn doesn't mean they woke up in the morning and thought to themselves, how can I make your life miserable? They are struggling with something. So if you have compassion, if you have empathy, if you can be unconditionally loving with the person, ask a question to them that sounds something like this. What would work best for you in my communication? How can I be different? What is it that you want from me? You know what I love about being a leader? I can do anything, but it doesn't mean what I'm doing always works. So I can make a request. Hey, babe, what can I do to be better for you? How can I show up in our relationship or our communication so that you are less defensive with me, or so that you are more open with me? Or tell me what I'm doing that isn't working for you. And then the thing is, listen. Don't defend and say, oh, really? So let me tell you what I think about you. When you get into a tit for tat with people, here's what you can bank on. No resolution, breakdown continues. But if you are able to listen, absorb, appreciate the honesty, appreciate the request, then you, because you are a leader, can redesign yourself in how you're being in the communication or how you're being in the relationship. So compassion, empathy, let go of your beliefs about the person. Stop holding people in the past. Stop rolling your eyes. Stop bracing for conflict. Be vulnerable. Be compassionate in any relationship breakdown that is occurring. Doesn't matter what it is. Somebody has to surrender and be vulnerable. If you are not willing to surrender and be vulnerable, then you can't change it. You have to wait for the other person to do it. When two people are at an impasse and you are conflicting, it just takes one to say, hey, I'm sorry. I don't want to fight with you. I actually want to get along with you. I want to be connected. I want to be in partnership. I want our relationship to work. I want our business relationship to work. I want this client relationship to be really valuable for you. So who can I be? What can I change? What would you like to experience from me? What would work better for you? Let the person tell you what it is. Listen to it, absorb it, and then integrate it. What you'll find, if you're willing to be responsible and own the breakdown, because this goes back to owning the breakdown, if you're willing to be responsible and own it, the other person's going to do the same thing. You're actually creating permission for the other person to get off it. Because in reality, it might be 100% about them, but it also might be 100% about you. Who cares? We don't want to be right. We want it to work out. You don't want to fight with your mother for the rest of her life. You don't want to fight with your father for the rest of his life. You don't want to have your son not want to be in the same room with you, or your daughter hate you and not even invite you to her wedding. I mean, give me a break. We get to lead by example, be responsible, be humble, be vulnerable, and you are big enough to handle whatever their feedback is. You can handle it and you can redesign yourself to make it work. So that's what I would say without getting into all of the matrix. But I can tell you what happens that relationships don't work out, blame. What happens that relationships don't work out, right. I'm right, you're right, we're fighting. Right creates conflict. Everybody should write that down. Right creates conflict, even if you are right. Good. Congratulations. You have crushed the other person. Did you really win? I mean, are you really winning? So if you're right, somebody else has to be wrong. Remember that. Even if you're right, you're not winning.
So good.
Okay.
So good. All right, you guys, give Michael a big hand. Give him lots of love. Thank you, Michael. Love you guys. Okay, so here's what I want to share with you as I want to ground this, okay? Because Michael's not going to be back this week, and you guys who are in leadership, congratulations, because you're going to get him. And let me share this with you. This is what I wrote down. So I don't know what you guys wrote down. Hopefully you took notes, but the first thing I said in the first minute, and I told our team here, I said, when I'm listening to Michael train, this is what I'm doing. I'm like, where am I limiting myself? Where am I limiting myself? So write that down. Where am I limiting myself? Then I asked myself, well, I said, have a relationship with my results, which I do. I was showing our entire team yesterday, even with this 21 day strong rising tide challenge. I had a vision for how many people we get to train in leadership. I had that up on the wall until we hit it. Then I had it up on my office till we hit it. I counted down, the number looked big. I know who has got big goals out there, yes or no, right? Who has big goals out there? So it's insane when you put that one thing up there, right? This week is about producing results, right? Which means you must expand your bandwidth. If you're already overwhelmed, I actually told somebody, one of our clients, I said, don't hire people in key level positions that are overwhelmed. I will never, ever, ever, ever do that again. Go do leadership, come out. If you're not overwhelmed and we got a position, we're good to go. Do not hire people around you that are overwhelmed. What does that mean if you're overwhelmed? Hopefully you did leadership. Okay, because it's like you got to expand that, right? You've got to be able to expand. The minute that if I say to my husband, babe, I'm super overwhelmed, he needs to know in that moment that I can't go any further. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? It means that I'm capped. I can't go any further. So when I have somebody that's crushing it or somebody in my life that's rocking it, I have to find, if they can't figure out how to get through the overwhelm, I have to look at what they're doing and go, how do I move I call it a chess game, right? How do I move the chess game of life, people, right? And where I find that where people get stuck is they say, I don't want to do that. I don't want to give up cooking. This is weird. I didn't want to give up grocery shopping. Anybody else love the grocery store? I love the grocery store. I don't know what it is about the grocery store. I love the grocery store. When I start, somebody's like, no, I don't want to give up. And so, Kim, I love grocery shopping. So I didn't want to give up grocery shopping. And so follow the trajectory of this. Forget the grocery shopping, right? I didn't want to give up grocery shopping. I knew I needed to give up grocery shopping. It was just like when I was looking at my hours, this is just a scenario. Write this down. How many hours, don't do this right now, but write this down, do it when we get off. How many hours do you spend on sleeping in a week? How many hours do you spend on prepping? You should be all writing this down because I want you to go do this later. Time is a big problem for people, am I right? So how many hours in a week do you spend sleeping? If you got the Aura ring, you know. How many hours a week do you spend prepping, like taking a shower, shaving, doing your hair, putting on makeup, right? There's something. You're definitely showering, hopefully, and brushing your teeth, right? How many hours are you spending on, if you've got kids or you got family or you just got like running errands, like just things that you have to do every week, no matter what, right? Like I got to go pick my kid up. All of it. Like, I drive my son to a homeschooling co-op 3 times a week. It takes me 25 minutes to get there. Then I'm there for like 15, 20 minutes. Then it takes me, you get what I'm saying, 25 minutes to get back, like all of that. So when I started doing this, it's changed everything. How many hours a week do you spend on TV or reading? That type of thing. How many hours a week do you spend like with different family members? Do you know what I mean? Like there's things that you need to do, people that you need to be connected with. How many hours a week do you spend on work? How many hours a week do you spend on work? So there's people that maybe you have to help in your life, like family that depends on you, grandparents, maybe you take care of grandkids, whatever, right? And then how many hours a week do you spend on your career or work or things like that? So we're not going to do that now, but what I want you to do is go add, and exercising. If you exercise, how many hours a week do you spend on exercising? So now add that up and do it later, right? Add it up, and there's 168 hours in a week, right? And so what I want you to do is see how much time you actually have. So when I did this, because I hit a moment, I do this every year, by the way. I hit a moment where I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm like moving. Anybody else feel like that? I'm like, God, I feel like, even though I have a week off a month on Flex Week, which by the way has gone to shit in a handbasket since like in the last year, which is amazing. I keep thinking it's like 2 months last year. I've had a couple of really strong ones right at the beginning of the year, things like that. But like I have been a non-negotiable for at least 10 years with last week of the month. I don't have any meetings. I don't do any work. I don't do anything. And for different reasons, I didn't set up my life in the last year that I turned myself inside out for somebody else. Some people else, I'm just going to leave it that, I'm going to generalize it. And it's my own responsibility. And that started going to shit in a handbasket. And so then what I was finding is that I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have no time. Okay. Just a leadership barrier. So I did this 168 method. You guys who are in our year-long program, we have the full design of this. And I realized that I had 35 hours of extra time every week. I was like, ooh, I have 35 hours. Like I got my sleep in there. I got my prepping. I got my work days. I got Zach. I've got all this stuff in there. I'm like, I have over 30 hours, 35 hours of time. Is it real that I'm so busy that I can't get anything done? Or is it that I just had not done what it took? Because remember I said time issues is an intimacy issue. I didn't do what it took until that moment to look at my life and redesign it. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm a big advocate on taking Monday and Tuesday. If you're a coach, consultant, or anything like that, it's not going to work for everyone. Just an example. Take all my meetings, coaching, everything, and put it in 2 days, Monday, Tuesday, and not have anything Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It doesn't mean I wouldn't be working. It just means that I don't have any client calls. I don't have any meetings. I don't have, so now say I've got like a list power call, like our list building training. So those are they Mondays? Those are on Mondays, Monday or Tuesday, Mondays, right? So those are Mondays. My private clients, 1%, they're on Tuesdays. Do you see the same concept? Right? So it's like I push everything into the front of my week, and that really works. Then I'm not ever not available. I have a friend who only does 10-minute meetings, and he really does he runs all these companies. He only does 10-minute meetings. Okay, it's all leadership. He also only does 10-minute friend calls. Now, don't get me wrong. If something happened, somebody passed away, he'd be on the phone with me. But he's trained us, just like my last week of the month is Flex Week. He's trained us. So we all know about the 10-minute meetings. So when I call Mark Tim up, anybody know Mark Tim? Wrote a great book on how to run your family like a business, because he had to solve a problem. Every time he came up his driveway to his family after crushing it at work, he was failing as a husband, failing as a dad. And you can say, give up the career and just, it's not worth giving up your family. No, that's a fucking excuse with love. That is just a leadership breakdown. So he started to look at his family and say, how do I run my family with meetings and everybody has roles so they have a purpose so they're not complaining, and how do we build something together that we all want? And so he changed. I'm good at business. I could be good at a family. And he changed it and completely transformed his entire family, right? Incredible. So, but Mark doesn't do 10, he doesn't do more than 10-minute meetings. So if I called Mark right now, I know I got 10 minutes on the clock, and I know about a minute to 2 minutes before that 10 minutes is hit, no matter what he's doing, sitting at his lake house, whatever, Mark will say to me, hey, Shanda, I've got about 2 minutes left. And it's not because he's being rude. It's because he's going to go back to being with his wife. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Like he's, I think 55, 57. He's completely like he's made all the money he's ever going to need to make. So now he just sits on boards and helps companies grow, and he helps people like me make chess moves. In fact, our COO is who I negotiated with Mark Tim about, who I ended up really needing and choosing to be my lifelong partner, so to speak, inside of Hardcore. Do you get what I'm saying? And so incredibly dynamic human being, you know? And so, but you can train anybody. You train people how to treat you. You can train anybody around you. But the thing is, you need to be consistent in whatever it is that your vision is. And you need to speak about it all the time so that everybody finds out. And the minute that you stop operating like that is the minute everything goes to hell. Heaven, hell, right? And hell happens because you're leading it in a way that's not working. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Yes? So I also wrote down messy, vulnerable, but then I was saying, you know, the truth is that I always say to my clients, especially my private clients, are not allowed to back down. And my clients in all our other programs hear me talk about it constantly. When you have kids, cancer, divorce, marriage, like all the celebrations and all the hard things in life, if you back down, like I need to take the pressure off and I'm going to back down. And backing down could look like I'm offended by you, or I think you're wrong, or I'm failing, or I can't handle it all. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Like all the above. That is a back down moment. So you have to expand. You have to expand. Well, you don't have to do anything. You can live frustrated, or you're going to live frustrated. So which one do you want? Do you want this frustrated with what you have, or do you want this frustrated with, I'm going to move the chess pieces so this frustrated neutralizes, and then I'm going to look for the next trajectory? Do you guys see what I'm saying? Which means there's going to be a level of frustration again, because you're going somewhere you haven't been before, which means you're gaining something in your life that you haven't been able to experience yet. Does that make sense? Yes? Yes? Okay, so balance is not the key. I know all my spiritual people are out there talking about balance. It is not the key. Balance is broke. I guarantee you, because if you don't have something in your life, it's from a lack of effort. And I definitely know that people will fight me on this and say I work my tail off. I'm gonna tell you, it's a lack of effort in the right spot. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? It's a lack of effort in the right spot. So when something is messy in your life, you have a choice. And Michael said this, you either like contract or expand. If you expand, because we're done this challenge at the end of this week, right? If you expand, if you just put that up on a wall, right? I track everything. This is something you want to track. So put it up on the wall and be like, messy, contract, expand. And like literally, you will already know what contract feels like because your mind will go into safety and everybody around you that's normal will tell you to contract. Every single one of them. So if you have this up on the wall, if you're like, okay, you will already know what contraction looks like. You could write it down and you can literally keep throwing out this piece of paper probably every week. Right? And so it's like messy, contract, expand. Here's what contraction looks like. And then get that out of you. And then look at what would expansion look like right now and write that down. I have never seen anybody blow up their life that thinks like this. You know who I see blow up their life? Contraction. I always see people blow up their life in contraction. You know why? Because I got to pull you out because you're so beat up at that point and you've lost faith. Even if you're godly, the truth is if you want to take action on something and you won't figure out the money, the time, the support, how to land your communication with someone you love, like pivot, give up being right, stop fighting, lead the conversation. If you won't humbly walk into those situations, then honestly, I'm going to tell you it's because of a lack of effort in that area. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? So do not move dates. Do not try and get things perfect. That means like if you guys are in business, don't try and line up the perfect campaign. Don't do that. You will win because you took more effort in that area. I would rather you fail at everything you touch between now and the end of the year and fail a lot. Why? Because it will move the dial. The problem is people fail and then they make something up about themselves, and so does everybody around you. And they say, you're messy, you suck, you tell yourself you suck. No, you know who sucks? The people who are literally telling you that all the characteristics of what you're doing are wrong. Okay, that sucks. So in other words, Nancy, you're too mean. Tom, God, you're always intense. You just have to stop and change you got to let them understand. Like, hey, I know I was mean right there. I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out how to lead through this better. Neutralize it because it's true. Unless you're intending to be mean, which I don't think I've ever met anybody truly in my entire life that ever tries to be mean. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm trying to figure out how to lead through this. Can you forgive me? Yes, you can count on me to do whatever I can to change that. But you have to keep failing. And when you fail, literally say to yourself, if I don't stop, I win. My great friend, Joe DeSena, he owns a company called Spartan Races. Anybody know Spartan Races? So Joe is a great example. He was doing a race. I'm going to butcher it, but it's been years. In fact, Joe wanted to interview me when I gave birth to Zach because he swears that doing endurance races is more challenging than giving birth naturally to a baby. So he literally wanted me to podcast it while I was giving birth. No kidding. He found somebody else to do it before me that gave birth before me. Joe, but that he's obsessed. Right? He's absolutely obsessed. Came from a conversation with him and his wife. And he's like, Shanda, will you do it? And I said, sure, I'll do it because I'm crazy. And I also know people will judge me from that. That's a sacred moment. Yeah, but I would love to be interviewed going through that because I'd love to re-listen to it. I bet I would never give up because I'd have an accountability factor of I'm not going to fail in front of all these people. So I'm going to give birth and take that epidural back, right? And so this is why you can't judge people because it's vision. See how lit up I am? Like that sounds super fun. And I know other people think that that's insane, but I'm not trying to get to the same destination you are. You know what I'm saying? I would love to tell my child that while I gave birth to them, I did a podcast because I really wanted to make sure that I gave birth to you like naturally. And I felt like I might give up on that if I didn't, so that opportunity arises. And that's how much I love you. That I wanted no chemicals, no anything. Somebody else like, take the chemicals. Great, it's just a vision, right? This is why we have to have different belief systems and not judge each other because it's like, you're not going the same destination. It's not make people wrong for wanting to go their destination. Yes? Okay, hear what I'm saying? So Joe's in a race and he's running this race and it's a really hard race. And he's thinking, like, it's getting dark. I'm totally lost. I'm off track. My equipment's not working. I'm hungry. I'm bleeding. I'm all of this. And this is the mentality that Joe had that I'm going to sign us off on. And the mentality that Joe had is I can contract right now and I can just wave the flag and just like, hey, come get me. I'm good. He's like, he basically was like, I am 100% sure everybody's already gone across the finish line, because he was so, like, when he realized where he was so off track. Who's off track right now in your life? Right? Who's off track? Truly, who's off track in your life right now? Go on just say me in the chat. So he was so off track and he's like, what is the point? Okay, he's thinking that, what is the point? Somebody just needs to come pick me up. I just need to go on welfare. I just need to get a divorce. I just need to, I'm done. Right? I'm done. There's nothing left. I'm done. Out. And if we're all honest, we've all had that moment in different areas of our life. And some of us, including myself, have taken that contraction. So there's no judgment on that. It's how do we keep getting bigger? How do we keep expanding? Because otherwise we keep going back into the box. The thing with the box is everything in your life is in that box. And so people are like, I don't want to risk in my business because it failed before. But guess what? I'm going to tell you, you're not risking in your marriage either. You're not risking in your health plan either, because you're in that box. And maybe you do health okay, but you don't do relationships okay. Yeah, but you could do health so much better because it's just in your box and you just happen to have that one up. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Yes. So just because you are doing good somewhere, I'm telling you, the same character is showing up in everything. So if you want to crush it, I'm telling you, any area that you go after to crush is going to affect the box expanding everywhere. Everywhere. Because you can apply just like Mark Tim, I crush it in business, I suck in my relationship. Well, guess what? Let's take that same mentality, put it into the company or into the family and expand it. It's the same character that can do it. That's why if you've ever wanted something in the past, it is a lazy moment with love. It is a lack of willingness, a lack of either wanting to look bad, a lack of humility that is not having you take those same skills in an area you won before and lead it in another area. If you've won somewhere, you can win everywhere. That's the truth. Who needed to hear that today? Yes or no? Right? If you've won somewhere, one of the tactics that I use with clients, I'll say, where have you crushed it? And people are like, oh, I haven't crushed it anywhere. No, I can't do anything with that. Where have you crushed it? Like, we need a baseline somewhere. I raised 17 kids, right? Or I got ourselves out of bankruptcy and I negotiated with the bank and we got this. Where have you crushed it? That you've done something abnormal and you really did it well, right? I'm phenomenal as a husband or a wife. I'm phenomenal at building gardens, whatever. Where have you crushed it? Go in the chat and say it. Where have you crushed it? Right? Do it. Go in the chat. Remember what Michael said? The person who doesn't get their ass off the couch and engage is always the one that loses. Always. Always. Doesn't matter how smart they are. If you will not get up and talk, you by default lose the game. You have all the knowledge in the world, all the great ideas. If you will not get up and talk, you by default lose the game called your life and everything that touches it. The relationships, your health, including your career, all gone if you won't talk. Okay, it doesn't matter how much wisdom you have. You will not talk and engage, you're out, right? We're not picking you for the all-star game. So Joe's running this race. He's having these thoughts. So it's not odd to have those thoughts. You guys see what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing wrong with you. And you also, somebody needs to hear this. You do not need to coach the people in your life not to have those thoughts, because you have them too. And so does my friend Joe, who owns an insane company, Spartan Races. Okay, so where in spirituality we all got the impression that if you have a negative thought that your whole life is going to implode and you're going to attract all that into your life is a effing lie. Law of attraction was pulled out of the Bible. Go learn the whole effing Bible. Understand the context around the entire thing, because you can have a crazy la thought and still absolutely crush it. In fact, if you pay attention to the clues, the most successful people go to the depth of the darkness to motivate themselves up. Deceptive teaching, maybe out there that you need to wake up from. Okay? Joe didn't give up. He had his crazy thoughts. Devil tried to come and take him out. And he said, you know what? I'm going to finish for me. Who needs to finish for yourself? Because I'm going to finish for me. I don't care if there's not one person, there's nobody set up at the finish line. The event company's taken everything down. I am going to finish for me. Do you know that he was number 2 that that actually crossed that finish line? He was number 2 in all of the races. I can guarantee you, if I had him here right now and I interviewed him, actually I should call him. I'm going to call him and see if he'll come on between tomorrow and Friday. You guys want to hear from him? I'll call him today when I get off here with you guys and ask him to pop on. He literally did it for him because, just like my other friend Jesse Itzler, married to Sarah from Spanx, many stories of this. He's supposed to go on a date with his wife. He didn't put the hose away after watering shit in his backyard. And he's like, I got to go on a date with Sarah. I'm going to run to go on a date. Looks at the hose. I cannot be average. I'm just going to curl up that hose, put it away, and then I'm going to go get ready and go for a date with Sarah. Right? Like my point, because he's afraid of the slippery slope of average. He doesn't want that because it's harder to pull yourself out of the box. Once you get used to expanding, then that becomes addicting. And trust me, you don't want to go off the diet lifestyle making money. You don't want to ever go off it. You want to have a life shift that you always eat healthy, it doesn't mean you don't have a glass of wine, but it's like, but Joe will not have a glass of wine. Joe thinks it's absolutely insane you'd ever put wine. He's obsessed. Truth to be told, I'd love to live that way. I defended my wine for as long as you could imagine. I defended it. And now I go for 6 months, 8 months, 5 months, 4 months without the wine. And I don't miss it until Deidre comes over or Tiffany comes over. And then I start having the wine and I really enjoy that moment too. But you hear what I'm saying? But like, who do I want to role play? As I continue to get obsessed, I've gone from eating like this to eating where people think I'm obsessed. My family thinks I'm obsessed, right? My son, you're not going to grandma and grandpa's and eating. My mom bought him a bag of Starburst the other day. He hadn't one. I took the bag and I threw it out, right? I'm like, Zach, that's not who you are. You don't eat like that. He's like, I know, Mom, but it's good. I was like, yeah, but you don't eat like that. That's not even in your identity. What am I doing? I am securing his future. You see what I'm saying? I'm like, do you really want that? No, you can get rid of it, Mom. Awesome. I hate this celery juice. You know what Joe taught me? Spartan Race again. She had to just use that damn iPad to get him to drink the celery juice. He didn't say it was celery juice, but it was like other things you want him to do. Celery juice. Here's a month-long challenge, Zach. Get through an entire month. What do you want? I want an upgrade in my game. Perfect. Unfortunately, his upgrades are $100, right? And so, but I would gratefully pay $100 to get my son to drink celery juice. Now he drinks celery juice every day. That was just a few months ago. What are you building? What are you building? Are you contracting because your kid doesn't like celery juice or you don't like celery juice? Or are you expanding into the vision that you want? And that's what I want to leave you with today. So now I know a bunch of you guys were not able to jump into leadership. I want to give you another gift from us. Leadership is off the table, but here's what I can do. I want to show you guys an opportunity where I think that money touches everything you love. Am I right? Yes or no? Money touches absolutely everything you love. And so I want to show all of you guys how to make a lot of that. Is that okay? I want to show a lot of you guys how to make. Now, you got to say, am I contracting or am I expanding? It's going to take expansion. I told our team today, I can never pay you enough money to become financially free. You have to be obsessed with what you make from hardcore and turn around and multiply it. And I'll keep bringing you, just like you guys, I'll keep bringing you opportunities, but you have to put a lot of effort towards the thing that you want. And it cannot be, I want a balanced lifestyle. Now, I know I'm talking to somebody right now that's like, oh no, I need a balanced lifestyle. I guarantee you, you don't have enough. And I guarantee you, when shit hits the fan, you're going to be the one that wished that you listened to me right now. Okay, put tons of effort towards the right area. Don't fight for the wine, right? Don't fight for the wine. Fight for, like, I want to create this, I want to expand, even though I like the wine, even though I like the chocolate, even though I like this stuff. How do I fight for that? Am I willing to figure out how to work with myself so that I start to let go of the wine, so that I start to let go of the chocolate? Right now, I like it, but maybe there's a personality in me, a character in me that won't like it at some point, and I'll choose the gain over the sacrifice. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Yes, I'll choose the gain over the sacrifice. So here's what I want to show you. You guys who jumped into leadership, this will affect you as well. On July 6th, 7th, and 8th, I'm going to teach all of you guys how to build an email and text list of buyers. Now, if you're an employee, you need this, okay? You need this because you need to stop relying on your employer to take care of you financially. And if you're on the government subsidy, your employer's the same. Same mentality. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Same mentality. One feels better than the other, but it's the same mentality. Okay, you have to, I get paid, if I just think I get paid for coaching, same mentality as being employed, same mentality as actually being on food stamps. Truly. Just different income brackets of being paid, but they're all the same mentality. What you do with that money is how you get free. It's how you get rich. You know what I'm saying? Yes? So I don't want you to think about how much money do I make. I want everybody to get an email and text list around a group of people. Everybody write this down. Just around a group of people that you want to help in the world. Who do you resonate with? Who do you, like, if I could say you can hang out with anybody in the world, who do you want to hang out with? Write it down, because that should be a target. Even if you have a company that you're not helping those people. Trust me, we can build a great company around something, around a group of people you actually like, right? Because we're going to hang out with them. If you're an employee or you're on food stamps, hear what I'm saying for a second. We're all in the same mentality unless we think like this. If we all have this, we're safe. And this is not an income claim at all. I'm telling you we're safe because even if you're not ever going to create a product, a company, or anything, if you have this email list, buyers are just a group of people. Everybody's a buyer, right? Everybody buys something, right? Everybody's a buyer. And so the group of people want something in their life. And there are companies like ClickBank, websites like ClickBank, that you can find any product for any group of people. Y'all follow me here? Yes? For any group of people. Now, with this, we charge $3,000 for this trading, list power. You guys hear what I'm saying? It used to be $5,000. Now, when I train it in a live 3-day event, which I'm gonna do here, we would charge $5,000. And the home study program on how to do this so that you can re-study it after I train it, we would charge $3,000. Now during COVID, we started doing things like $700, $997, $2,700. No different than going to the grocery store. If milk is on sale last week, it doesn't mean that you get the rebate now. For some of you guys who are in business, you need to hear that, because I train business owners all the time. And they're constantly afraid to put products and services on sale because they're like, but Tommy bought the product at X. It doesn't matter. They're not entitled. You hear it? Can you guys hear that? Yes or no? Not entitled. We're not entitled for the discounts. When Black Friday sales are over, they're over, right? Somehow we don't expect to have them, but you're afraid to discount or do any of that. Don't do that, okay? So these are real prices. So that I would charge $5K. Pretend this is the home study program. I would charge $2,700, $3,000. Sometimes during COVID, I think I did it once for $700 in COVID times, right? And so think of it as a home study program. In addition, Michael just talked. Who wants to really rock style flexing? I'm going to put style flex selling, but it's really style flex communication. Okay, so we've been selling this for $497. We've been selling that. I offered it one day in the challenge with the whole leadership program. I offered it one day as a bonus. My clients call me for this all the time. My clients in our year-long programs, my 1% clients, they call me for this. Can I actually like sit and watch this with my employees, with my sales team, with my husband? How many of you guys are having a conversation with someone right now? You can't land the communication. You're always selling something. You're selling them to get healthy. You're selling them to get a job. You're selling them to quit a job. You're selling them to move to Puerto Rico, right? You're always in a conversation of selling. So style flex selling, we sell for $497. Live intensives, $5,000. You guys know these prices are not insane. If you've ever learned how to like do a signature talk, it's usually $5,000, $7,000, something like that to come into intensive. Am I right? Yes. Home study program, $2,700, $3,700. These are just all the different ranges. I'm just being really transparent with you right now. So the live intensive I'm doing, and I'm doing it for everybody who jumped into leadership. We bonused that to you. Here's what I'm offering today. If you want to jump in, you can go to joinlistpower.com. And this is, some of you guys could not figure out leadership. Okay. And so I can't offer you leadership, but what I can do is I can give you the list power training. I can give you the home study program. I can give you style flex selling. Plus, this is insane. Plus, I will give you the 3-day intensive in HCL, which is just vision. Okay, it's just the first 3-day intensive. It's just vision. We can do that entire thing for $997. $997. Okay, so they put that up. We worked on it last night and we put up a page for you. Now, this vision, the first 3 days of the entire leadership training. So it's not breakthrough, it's not practice, it's just vision. The reason why we put this into this entire package is if I can take care of your money, I can give you 90 days of accountability after that. And I can get you into vision where at least you can get the F out of your own way and get on purpose, get some clarity, get some power. Then I feel like I can help you catapult yourself so that you can make some money. Now, I recommend everybody who does this, that in the next year, you come back and you buy breakthrough and practice and go through it. Do you know what I mean? If you ever see me offer it next year, I'm not going to be doing a bunch of stuff moving forward this year because I'm writing books this year. Hear what I'm saying? So I'm on the commitment on my one sheet for the company. I'm writing books. So you're not going to see a ton of opportunities to be able to jump in because we're not stacking events the way we've been doing them over the last 2 years. And so this truly is an insane opportunity for you to get trained on money. I'm going to walk through every single module in our list building program with you on July 6th, 7th, and 8th. Stay in your living room. We're going to do it. There's no replays on this. We moved this date so that everybody can come. There's no replays on this. I need you to show up virtually, but I need you to show up because I need to hold your hand for really 2.5 days and actually do all the modules so you're empowered to know what the F you're doing, right? I'll give you 90 days of accountability. You get the home study program, but every week there is a call. Jean Bills, who sounds like me, she is like me. I trained her on this, 12 years ago. And she is very, very competent. She will show up every week for accountability calls for 90 days to help answer any questions, basically like a safety net on the back end. Hear what I'm saying? We will give you the style flex selling for $997, plus you'll get the first 3 days of vision. Now, if you joined HCL, the entire program, stay where you're at. Trust yourself, go all in. If you didn't grab that, that offer's gone. I will train you the money and get you into the first 3 days of vision to get you empowered and out of your own way. So now it's up to you. I hope that this is kind of like, Shanda, I wasn't able to invest $2,200, but I can figure this out. right? There's 50 ways to find the money. And all I can tell you is it's about expanding, not contracting. So nothing changes unless we change. I always say there's two types of people. There's people who are seekers and people who are creators. Seekers keep watching stuff like this, move their life forward a little bit. Listen, if you got results this month with me, or even one of the days, imagine what it would be like if we can work together for the next 3-4 months together. You guys hear what I'm saying? Imagine what it would be like. And then imagine that you get done with that and you can actually just execute. Now, if you take this plan, you go to joinlistpower.com. It's on the bottom of the screen here. If you take this plan, here's what I recommend that you do. I recommend you do this. I recommend that you put money, you pull some money off the top and you go back in and you now are funding your future. You go back in and you go into breakthrough and practice. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Like, go do this. Let's build the list building. Even if you're not an entrepreneur, once you do this, there's products that already have all the marketing done. I will talk about that in here. Do you get what I'm saying? And so I'm going to show you when you build the list of buyers, the group of people you like and you want to stand for, we can go get a product that already has masterful marketing that you can take their emails, take their sales pages, and they'll give you a bunch of emails to send out to this list, and then you will get paid a commission. So if you have a job, do you think this would be smart? Yeah, you're super smart, because those emails can go out all day, all night while you're at work, and you could be getting a commission, and somebody else does the fulfillment. If you're an entrepreneur, do you think that this is security? Yes, massive security. I just don't recommend you stop at vision, although this is incredible. I would take this 100%, just like I borrowed money for 30% interest. One more person tells me they're freaked out about the interest rates going up right now. I'm like, stop it. Just go find a better deal. This is a better deal for some of you. And I would take this deal all day long for $9.97, all day long. So I've got this up for you today. I hope that this is a blessing. We're taking care of your money. We're taking care of getting you out of your own way. We're giving you lifetime access to Style Flex selling. You're hooked up. Go empower yourself financially and to expand your leadership, make some cash over the next 60, 90 days, and move yourself into the next section. We do not have leadership available where you can buy it like this. However, we will give you a concierge person that you can call after doing this and say, I would like to now go into breakthrough and practice. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? This is not available to the regular world. It's not available to the regular world. You can't go to a website other than this right now, joinlistpower.com. You can't go to a website and get this deal. You can get it right now. Life is now. It's time for you to expand if you need it. If you don't need it, let it go. All right, you guys, I will see you tomorrow. I'm going to call my friend Joe and see if he'll jump on this week. No pressure to Joe. And we're going to finish this week strong. All right. God bless VIPs. I'm going to switch to you.